What's going on YouTube? Bacon here bringing another video. This one going to be my week 9 battle for the SSBL Minors. This week we are taking on Swords of Thrustice, aka SgtBulkUp, coach of the Kandahar Krookodiles. He's obviously not had the best season to this point, sitting here at 2-6 out of playoff contention, while we are coming in of course at 7-1, having picked up our first loss last week. Definitely want to win this game because if we do, we guarantee ourselves a first round bye in the playoffs, which would be amazing. Less games the better in playoffs as far as I'm concerned. But definitely a very difficult matchup on tap here. I don't want to take anything for granted going into this game. Anybody can beat anybody, it's Pokemon. So regardless of kind of what the records say right now, definitely taking this game very seriously and want to make sure I can come out with the W. That being said, let's get right into the matchup here. So looking at my opponent's team, he has available to him the Ash Greninja form, which is absolutely terrifying. That is, yes, Ash Greninja, not Torrent Greninja. So Ash Greninja, Garchomp, Gardevoir Mega, Ferrothorn, Crobat, Rotom Heat, Smeargle, Frostlass, Heracross, and Ambipom. His users are Garchomp, Smeargle, and Ambipom. I mean, Smeargle, you never really know what it's going to do. Could just be kind of a hazard setting lead with like Stealth Rock, Sticky Web, Nuzzle kind of deal. But again, never really know, especially considering he's out of the playoffs. Smeargle's kind of a good Pokemon to meme around with if he wanted to do something like that. Ash Greninja, as I mentioned, is a huge threat. There's a reason it's like the bane of OU right now. Everybody's running Tangrowth, Toxapex, Spit Ferrothorn. Like, you kind of need some kind of Ash Greninja check on your team so you don't just get run over by Dark Pulse. Even then it can flinch down your counter and you're just shit out of luck. So stupid Pokemon, very difficult to deal with. It's got the restriction that it can't be Z in this league, but like, who cares? It's just gonna run choice specs and ruin your life that way anyway. So definitely denying Ash Greninja from getting into its Battle Bond form is going to be really important in this matchup, I think. Garchomp, I wasn't sure whether you'd want to bring it or not. It's definitely a big threat to my team considering my Fairy type is also a Steel type. But Gliscor can kind of take it on. Superior is good ground resist. I have some things that naturally outspeed it, like Blacephalon. Wasn't necessarily sure whether he wanted to bring the Garchomp in this matchup. Glad to see that he didn't. Otherwise, pretty decent matchup on my end. Like, Heracross can be somewhat difficult to deal with if he's like an SD Flame Orb set, so I'll have to watch out for that. And Gardevoir is just generally pretty difficult to switch into, but I think I've got some decent options on my team. Things like Muck do really well against the Mega Gardevoir, and even Mega Mawile, if I had opted to bring that, would potentially have caused some difficult prep on his end from the Gardevoir's end. And of course, Blacephalon's always going to be a good offensive check to that mon. So in general, I was feeling pretty good about this matchup going into it. If I could limit the Ash Greninja from really doing much versus me, I feel like I'm going to be in a pretty good spot in this one. But with that being said, let's get into my team builder here. So looking at my team builder, we're leading off here with Rotom Wash, running Iapapa Berry, Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, HP Ice, and Defog. Running max HP with a good bit of special defense investment, but we are running a Bold Nature. I can't remember exactly what the bold EVs I had in here were for, but I'm guessing I was trying to take like a neutral devastating Drake from Garchomp or something like that. That way I could hit it with an HP Ice, do some big damage to it, and put it in range of something like my Lycanroc later in the game, because obviously that thing's going to more or less wall Lycanroc since I'm not carrying Outrage. So definitely big threat in the Garchomp there. I wanted to make sure I had the HP Ice teched on for it. Volt Switch just gives me really good initiative versus his team. It's pretty clickable in this matchup, I'll say. Like, the only thing that could be coming in is Garchomp, and that wouldn't want to risk burns or anything like that. So I feel like Volt Switch is going to be pretty clickable in this game, get me some good initiative, threaten out the Ash Greninja. Iapapa Berry is kind of nice over leftovers in that respect, because if I do get flinched by the Ash Greninja, I can't be 2-hit KO'd by it. So I do have enough Spadaf investment. Choice Specs, Dark Pulse does not 2-hit KO me. Should pop my Iapapa Berry so I can afford to get flinched once or twice-ish, if that happens to be the case. Obviously would prefer not to get flinched at all, but you know, it's Ash Greninja, so I think these things happen. Defog's really important in this game for kind of my defensive backbone, staying healthy, things like my Muck, things like my Rotom Wash, Gliscor. Even though Gliscor's got the Toxic Orb to kind of heal back a little bit, definitely don't want to be coming in on Stealth Rocks over the course of the match, so brought Defog as the last move there. Next up here is 9 Inch Nails, the Lycanroc Dusk, running Life Orb Lycanroc with Rock Polish, Stone Edge, Fire Fang, and a Celerock. Running max attack, Jolly Nature. I believe I was speed tying the Frostlass. Didn't really need to speed tie with the Frostlass because I threatened that thing out anyways, but it's not like I gained a whole lot of bulk by creeping down to the Garchomp, so I said kind of, you know, screw it, might as well speed tie the Frostlass. So kind of a unique Lycanroc Dusk set here. I'm not running attack boosting, I'm actually just running a Life Orb to get the extra damage output that I need. But running Rock Polish is really cool in this game because it will allow me to outspeed his entire team after I go +2. Obviously, the Garchomp's going to be pretty problematic for this set. It resists all my moves. But Life Orb Stone Edge is still doing about 35% to standard Garchomp, so if I can chip that thing down a little bit, maybe hit it with HP Ice from my Rotom Wash, that could potentially put it in range of my Lycanroc later in the game for a Rock Polish sweep. And the kind of cool thing about having a Celerock on this set is Ash Greninja pretty commonly carries Water Shuriken, which is a +1 form of priority, as is a Celerock. So if I outspeed that thing after the Rock Polish, my Celerock will come off before his Water Shuriken. I believe it with Life Orb and Tough Claws, I do a little over half with a Celerock to the Greninja, so that's kind of another good benchmark to know that I need to hit, but otherwise his team's pretty weak to Lycanroc Dusk. Life Orb Stone Edge is going to do massive damage, if not KO the Gardevoir. It's going to do big damage, of course, to Rotom Heat, the Smeargle, the Crobat, like whatever else you want to bring, bar the Garchomp. This Lycanroc Dusk really is going to put in some work on his team, so really like the Lycanroc set this week. Definitely something you don't normally see with the Rock Polish plus priority. You don't really see Rock Polish Lycanroc in the first place, but kind of stacking with it, the priority I thought was kind of interesting this match, and I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to do. Next up here is Nightshade the Gliscor running Toxicroak Poison Heal, Stealth Rock, Roost, Earthquake, and Facade, running max HP with a good bit of speed investment. I believe in this instance I want to make sure I was outspeeding the Heracross no matter what. That way I can get a couple of Facades off, get some good chip damage on him. If he has Scarf Heracross, my Toxic Orb's already activated. I really have nothing to fear from it. But if he is, like I mentioned, the SD Flame Orb set, that's a pretty big threat to my team. So at least having Facade to do some kind of damage to that thing is nice. Also hits the Rotom Heat as well for a decent chunk. Not going to do anything too crazy, but kind of getting up Stealth Rocks in this game is really important. Chip down his Rock's weak Mons, things like Crobat and Rotom Heat, as well as chip down the Ash Greninja to get in range of a Celerock from my Lycanroc later in the game. Also, having the Stealth Rocks up guarantees the KO on Gardevoir with my Stone Edge from Lycanroc. So Stealth Rocks are just really nice for me in this matchup. I kind of had to bring them in this instance just to chip down things like the Volt Turn core of the Crobat and Rotom Heat, which can be somewhat problematic for my team. I was definitely expecting to see the Rotom Heat because it does do a decent job of checking non-Rock Slide variants of Mega Mawile. But yeah, overall I felt like bringing Stealth Rocks in this game was pretty important, and Gliscor was my best option for bringing Rocks. Didn't really feel like Uxie had a very good matchup. Mega Mawile I didn't think had a very good matchup either. And then I was kind of just torn on my Lycanroc set, but opted to go with a more offensive set, so I didn't want to smash Stealth Rocks onto that. So that's what Gliscor is here for. It's not super important in this matchup, other than like I have a quote-unquote check to Garchomp and Heracross, but SD variants of both of those kind of blow through Gliscor anyways. Really just here to get at the Stealth Rocks in this match. Next up is Brain Blast the Blacephalon, running Ghostium Z with Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, Calm Mind, and Flamethrower. We're actually running the speed boosting set on Blacephalon, so for those of you who don't know, if you run a Timid Nature and you kind of knock down your special attack investment pretty significantly, you can actually get it to the point where Blacephalon's speed stat is higher than its special attack stat. That means once you snag a KO with it, its Beast Boost is going to activate and give you a speed boost as opposed to a special attack boost. So the idea with this being I can Calm Mind up, drop a Ghostium Z on his team, nuke something, KO it, and get my +1 speed, and now I'm kind of in business. Choice Specs Water Shuriken after I go +1 is not going to knock me out from the Ash Greninja, and if I'm +1 with my Blacephalon, Fire Blast is going to do a huge chunk of damage. I think it's something like 70% to Ash Greninja. So again, getting Stealth Rocks up to get some chip on it, maybe getting a Celerock chip off with something like my Lycanroc would be really useful in this matchup to help Blacephalon late game clean. But either Lycanroc or Blacephalon can definitely break, and either of them can clean. So it's going to be kind of a matter of which is better at a given time of the game, and I'll have to kind of scout it out from there. I'm thinking Blacephalon early game breaking could be pretty nice, getting a Calm Mind off and dropping a Z move on something like Rotom Heat can be really nice for something like my Serperior. But otherwise, I feel like Lycanroc is just kind of even without the Rock Polish, is a decent offensive check to a lot of his mons. Things like Crobat, things like Rotom, things like Gardevoir. Even without going for Rock Polish, just clicking Stone Edge versus team is pretty nice. So I could see it going either way here. It really kind of depends on the situations we find ourselves in the game. Next up here is Friend of Dave the Alolan Muck, running Assault Vest the Alolan Muck with Poison Touch, Knock Off, Poison Jab, Ice Punch, and Fire Punch, running max HP with max Spadef. Well, pretty close to max Spadef. I can't remember exactly what the attack investment was for, but we're running a Careful Nature just to kind of maximize our special bulk for things like the Ash Greninja, things like the Gardevoir. Just a good blanket special check versus team. And it can still kind of function even if I get burnt, because with the Poison Touch plus Poison Jab, I have a 51% chance to poison anything that comes in on me. even getting a poison off on things like Garchomp will be really useful for my Lycanroc in the back. If he's running Garchomp, that's really nice for my Blacephalon as well. But Alolan Muck, I think, just had a really good matchup this game. Must bring for the Gardevoir, in my opinion, but otherwise his coverage is pretty nice, and spreading poison around his team is going to be really helpful to get the chip that I need for either my Blacephalon or my Lycanroc to clean late game. Lastly here, we've got Sweat the Superior running leftovers with Contrary, Leaf Storm, Galare, Leech Seed, and HP Fire. The combination of Leaf Storm plus HP Fire is obviously going to allow me to blow through his Ferrothorn, which I didn't necessarily expect to see this game, but you don't just not prep for Ferrothorn, so running HP Fire, of course, on the Superior. Galare's kind of nice if I think his primary switch into my Superior is going to be something like his Crobat. Being able to slow that thing down for something like my Blacephalon is going to be really, really nice if he does happen to bring that in on me. Otherwise, Leech Seed is kind of a good middle ground play. If Rotom Heat is, for example, going to be his switch in, I can just go for Leech Seed, get some health back, and potentially pivot into one of my other mons, go with something like Gliscor to prevent him from Volt switching, get some chip on him that way. I feel like Superior is kind of nice in this matchup, but again, one of those Pokemon that's not like super integral to the game plan in this one, but can definitely help kind of in the same way that Muck does in terms of spreading chip around his team to allow something else on my team to clean. Alright, well, with all that being said, let's get into the match here. So, as you can see, my opponent brought the Ash Greninja, the Smeargle, Crobat, Rotom Heat, Gardevoir, and the Heracross. I mentioned SD Heracross could be pretty scary if he's running like Flame Orb SD. That's definitely problematic, but I definitely could also see him going with a Choice Scarf route, so I'll have to scout that out during the game. Crobat, not really sure what kind of set he'd be running. It does outspeed my entire team naturally, so he's got a couple different options there. Might be running something like Super Fang Bulky to help deal with my Mega Mawile a little bit, but not really sure what he'd want to be running on that end. Basically expect Choice Specs Ashgren, like why would you not run Choice Specs Ashgren versus my team? Smeargle, never know, could be a Hazard's Lead, could be whatever. And then Gardevoir, I'm just expecting kind of dual stab, potentially HP Fire to hit my, or actually HP Ground rather, to hit my Muck plus my Mawile. I've seen that kind of combination before. I've run it myself on other Pokemon. I had a Comfey and MWPA that I did that with. You guys will see that video coming up soon. So you can definitely see him running like HP Ground, hit the Mawile plus Muck combination. But otherwise, Hyper Voice is reasonably spammable versus my team. Like, I don't have a great Fairy Resist, so and this team itself doesn't have any Fairy Resist, so definitely Hyper Voice is very spammable versus my team. Pretty scared to make a Gardevoir outside of my Alolan Muck. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts going into the game. At lead matchup, there's not a whole lot of reason for me to not lead with Rotom Heat. It matches up well against everything on his team, bar like Gardevoir. Can Volt Switch out on Heracross, can Volt Switch out on Crobat, Volt Switch out on Greninja. Smeargle can Hydro Pump the Rotom Heat or Volt Switch myself. So I've got options here with Rotom Heat, and I feel like it's kind of my best overall lead. Like I mentioned, I just was hoping to not see the Gardevoir lead, but he does in fact lead with the Gardevoir. So I could stay in and take one, like I have my Papa Berry and everything, but I really would rather not burn that now because I need this as a check to his Greninja later in the game. So what I'm going to do is, instead of Volt Switching, just going to Hard Switch out into my Alolan Muck, kind of find out what this Gardevoir wants to do. Basically expecting him to go for Hyper Voice this turn, which with my Max Speed Assault Vest shouldn't do too much. But he actually reveals the Substitute this turn, which is very nice. I think it's probably to kind of dodge Sucker Punch from my Mawile would be my guess. But it's fine by me. I can just go for Poison Touch and break that Substitute, no problem. Turns out he is Will-O-Wisp, so Sub Will-O-Wisp, very cool set on his Gardevoir here to help kind of deal with my Muck plus my Mawile. But Poison Jab, like I said, is going to break that Substitute pretty easily, even with the burn. And like I said in my team builder, Muck can still kind of do his job, even if it's poisoned, or sorry, even if it's burned, because it can spread poison across the rest of his team. So I'm going to go for knockoff here, predicting a Crobat switch in, as he just goes for Hyper Voice and does very little to me. Fortunately for me, I do get the poison out of it, which is great. So that Gardevoir is pretty much no longer a threat. I'm pretty content to trade my Alolan Muck for the Gardevoir, because if you look at the rest of his team, Muck's not doing a whole ton, assuming it's not Special Crobat, so I'm perfectly fine with kind of trading Muck for Gardevoir here early in the match. I actually go for knockoff again here, trying to catch the Crobat still on the switch in. Fortunately, that allows him to get behind a Substitute, but with the poison, I don't really mind that too much. He's going to be dead in a couple turns anyway. And like I said, just kind of trading this Muck for the Gardevoir is totally fine by me. He's going to go for another Hyper Voice here, continue to will down Muck as I go for a Poison Jab, I believe, to break the Substitute here. And now he's got one turn of poison left, so it really doesn't matter what I do at this point. Since I am Assault Vest, it's not like I can recycle a berry or anything like that. So like I had said earlier, pretty much trading the Muck for the Gardevoir here, not too much of a problem. He actually goes for Shadow Ball here. Not really sure why, considering I didn't have a Hyper Voice switch in, but fine by me. Going for Poison Jab here, knock out the Gardevoir. Muck's basically dead, but that big threat is off the board, so I'm going to take that trade, and basically at this point, again, have to deny him from getting his Ashgren form with Greninja, otherwise it's going to be pretty problematic for my team to deal with. So as it comes out here, I'm pretty sure he's going to lock into a Water move, because Dark Pulse is kind of against Muck here, so I'm going to go out into Rotom Wash here, predicting a Hydro Pump or such, as he just goes right for the Scald, which is fine by me. It does a little bit less damage, and thankfully does not burn me. And I'm just going to Volt Switch here. He has no ground types on his team that he brought, so Volt Switch is pretty free. He goes for Dark Pulse there, and I'm just going to go for Volt Switch and get some good chip damage off from the Greninja. That does put it in range of a Cell Rock for later in the game, and it does look, I think, that he is not Choice Specs Greninja, so that's good for me to know as well. So able to get some good chip damage off, get out into my Superior here, and basically just click Leech Seed. Like I mentioned, I'm not really sure what he's going to want to go into to be his check to my Superior here. The fact that he went into Heracross is pretty surprising to me, and we don't see Flame Orb, so I'm definitely anticipating this to be Choice Scarf Heracross, and I don't want him to knock off anything from my Gliscor, and I also don't want to catch a Mega Horn, obviously, with my Superior. I feel like the best sack overall is to go into Muck and see what he wants to do. He does knock off my Assault Vest, and again, I'm predicting this to be a Choice Scarf variant of Heracross at this point. Unfortunately, because I do get the Leech Seed recovery, it's going to keep me out of range of Burn, which means he's going to be able to get a Moxie boost off me as he goes for another knockoff here, which is less than ideal, but also not terrible. I'm going to find out right now if this Heracross is Choice Scarf by going out into my Lycanroc. Lycanroc does eat a +1 knockoff from him if he is running a Choice Scarf set, and otherwise I feel like he'd be incentivized to switch out. So what I'm actually going to do here is just go right for the Rock Polish, I believe, as he goes for a knockoff to remove my Life Orb. Losing out on my Life Orb kind of sucks, but Greninja's in range of non-Life Orb boosted Accelerock anyways, so I don't mind that too much. And I'm going to be able to KO the Heracross here with a Fire Fang if he wants to switch out. It's not like he's really got good switch-ins to my Lycanroc in the first place, so he's just going to let the Heracross go down, which is actually a pretty decent threat to my team. Considering it was Choice Scarf, it would have outsped my Superior and my Blacephalon, so getting rid of that thing's really nice for me. This Smeargle comes out here, and I'm basically thinking this is screaming at me Focus Sash with Nuzzle, which is really his only way of dealing with Lycanroc at this point. Otherwise, it's just going to clean his team. Instead, he actually goes for Earth Power, so not really sure what the Smeargle is going to be now that I've seen Earth Power, but I'm just going to go for Facade here with my my Gliscor. Either he's going into Rotom Heat or he's going to Crobat is my thought, but he actually stays in with the Smeargle here. I'm like, oh boy, what's this Smeargle going to do to me? It turns out he's Power Herb Geomancy Smeargle, so really cool set on the Smeargle, and now I obviously have to fear that he has Ice Beam to hit my Gliscor here, so I gotta switch out, go into Superior. Superior felt like kind of the most useless member at this point, given that the Crobat and the Rotom Heat are the two main threats that I'm looking at this point, but he actually reveals to be Stored Power, which is just super cool set. Mad props to him for bringing this set. Geomancy Stored Power Smeargle, man. Managed to live the second Stored Power here, get the roll, which is pretty nice, and I'm able to knock out the Smeargle, but again, really cool set on his part. Wasn't a huge deal if I missed the Leaf Storm or if he killed me with Stored Power, because I always could have revenged him with a Cell Rock for my Lycanroc, assuming he didn't have like Vacuum Wave, but definitely a very cool set on his part to bring that Geomancy Smeargle. So able to knock that thing out, and again, I don't want this Ash Greninja getting its Battle Bond form, so what I'm going to do here is go out into my Rotom Wash. This should allow me to pop my Iapapa Berry on this Dark Pulse, because I know he's not Choice Specs, even a crit's not going to knock me out from this range, and I'm able to pop my Berry and get back in on the Greninja. It is in range of Volt Switch, and again, Volt Switch is very free for me right now, as I'm just going to go for it, and he unfortunately flinches me with the Greninja. I'm like, well, okay, that's not great. Just don't flinch me again. Like, if he flinches me again, we have a problem, because he's probably got Water Shuriken on this thing, so I'm not just going to be able to revenge kill him with a Cell Rock. So thankfully he does not flinch me on the second one, and I'm able to Volt Switch out and KO this Greninja. Huge threat gone. Now I've just got to deal with the two things that are weak to Rock, which is great for my Lycanroc. But instead of going out hard into Lycanroc, what I'm actually going to like to do is go into Gliscor first. I can basically just wall the two of these Pokemon, depending on what his sets are. If he's like a physical variant of Crobat, I have no problem with it. So what I'm actually going to do is just get up my Stealth Rocks. Like, if he wants to pivot around with these two, that's fine. They're both weak to Rocks. It's going to do some good chip damage. But it turns out he's dual screens on his Rotom, so very cool tech to bring the dual screens plus the set Smeargle. Very nice on his end. Facade's obviously going to do nothing through Reflect, so not great for me, but still not really seeing the problem here necessarily. As he just goes for his light screen, I figure, okay, I'll just waste his turns by just spamming Facade with my Gliscor at this point. So he goes hard out into Crobat, and Crobat behind screens usually means one thing, and that's Nasty Plot Crobat, and that's actually what it's going to turn out to be a set. So he's got the Black Sludge on there, which is actually pretty clutch for him. It's going to help keep him out of range of a Cell Rock for my Lycanroc to Revenge Kill him. But he goes for Nasty Plot here, as I'm just going to spam Facade. Like, I don't need Gliscor at this point, and I really just need to chip down this Crobat however much I can to get it as close to in range of an Accelerock as I can from my Lycanroc. So just going to keep spamming Facade at him, even though he's doing basically nothing through the screen. But he goes for Nasty Plot here and goes for Air Slash. Thankfully, he does not flinch me with the Air Slash because I'm going to be able to get a little bit more chip on him with the Facade. And he's now in range of a non-Reflect Accelerock here for my Lycanroc. So that's something to note. He's only got 3 turns of Reflect left because I am assuming that he's a Light Clay variant of the Rotom Heat as he is. He's only got 3 turns left and now 2, having killed my Gliscor. So as long as I can waste off these 2 turns, which I do have enough sacks for, I'm pretty much okay versus this Crobat. He's shown Nasty Plot. If he's not Roost, Roost I guess could be potentially problematic here, but I'm just going to go out to Rotom Wash and sack that thing off as well. Go for Volt Switch here. He kind of has to attack me at least. So he goes for Air Slash, knocks me out. No problem. Pretty sure he's got Heat Wave as well to hit my Mega Mawile, so it's really a matter of what his last move is, if it's a Sludge Bomb or if it's Roost or whatever. It's really my only concern right now is that it has Roost. 2 turns left, now 1 turn, so I have 1 more sack to make, which is my Superior. I feel like it's much less useful than my Blacephalon at this point, so I'm just going to go for a Glare here on the off chance he does something stupid. He misses Air Slash, which is not something stupid, it's just bad luck. But he misses the Air Slash, and I don't think that really mattered because if he had knocked me out that turn, he'd actually be short 1 turn of Black Sludge recovery, which would guarantee him to be in range of an Accelerock from my Lycanroc. So I still would have been able to come out here and Revenge Kill him. Instead, he's actually able to get an extra turn of recovery here, as I probably should have just gone for HP Fire to get that chip damage I needed. It actually reveals Hidden Power. Looks like probably Ground, since it was not very effective against my Superior. He's able to knock that thing out. And now it's a roll as to whether the Accelerock KOs, but because he's paralyzed, I can go out into my Blacephalon and just click the Z move. So like I mentioned, it sucks that the Air Slash missed, but I don't think it really affected the end game here. Either Lycanroc was going to come out here and Accelerock a bunch of times to win, or Blacephalon was going to come in here as it does and go for the Z move and blow away this Crobat. So yeah, that's going to be basically a game at this point. I can just Shadow Ball the Rotom Heat to my heart's content, and then go out into Lycanroc afterwards and revenge it with a Rock type move. So basically going to be all right here. Pick up the 2-0 victory against Swords of Thrustice here. Very good game. Brought some really cool stuff. The Geomancy Smeargle was super fire. I really love that set. The Gardevoir set was really cool as well with the Sub Will-O-Wisp, and of course Nasty Bat's always fun to see. So. Very cool sets from his end. Best of luck going forward in your future leagues, of course. But that is 8-1 for us. That's going to guarantee us a first round bye in the playoffs, which is great. And that means I can kind of meme it out next week. We'll see that going up. Me versus Tepig, because Tepig is also making the playoffs with us. There's a potential matchup, of course, going forward. Didn't want to kind of reveal any tech that I'd had in mind for that matchup, so I kind of just suggested to him that we play a meme game and see what happens. And he agreed, so you guys will see that match going up shortly, hopefully. But thank you guys very much for watching this one. If you did, hope to see you all in another video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.